India's cultural diplomacy in digital world. Warm welcome to you all, those who gathered, who joined us around the world. Mysore Global Forum. Mysore Global Forum is an international panel discussion jointly organized by the Department of International Relations, Maharaja's College, University of Mysore, and the BRICS Institute, India. The journey of the Mysore Global Forum has begun to enhance and to promote the knowledge of youngsters and to represent the culture and heritage globally, and also to represent Mysore globally. We had discussions on various issues on this platform, sir. Today, we have Professor Prakash Khandge, Dr.Binod Singh, BRICS Director, and Professor Yan Ping and Dr.Yatendra Datta to discuss about the India's cultural diplomacy in digital world, how it is representing and how the music, yoga, and folk are representing our India in the global world, and also to how culture, heritage, music, folk are making India as a soft power. The rulers of the Wadiyar dynasty still live in the hearts of the Kannadigas. Their contribution to the development of social and cultural space as well as science and technology is incredible. Their dedication towards the development of their kingdom can be seen in their pro-people policies and prompt action in times of necessity. As Infosys chairman, Mr. Narayan Murthy quoted, their philosophy was that the best use of power and money was not to acquire more of it, but to do more for the betterment of the less fortunate. As it is quoted by His Highness Yaduveer Krishnadatta Chamaraja Wadiyar, the heritage of a particular society refers to unique, tangible, and intangible cultural features, including language, art, traditions, and buildings of the past that continue to have a positive bearing in the present and that which ought to be preserved and bequeathed to the future generations. His Highness always loves to highlight our traditions that go back hundreds of years. Indeed, His Highness needs no introduction. His culture speaks not only about him, but also about our India. Sir, we have an academic culture to introduce our panelists and our chief guest. Now I request Ms. Renuka Hiremath to introduce our Highness Yaduveer Krishnadatta Chamaraja Wadiyar. Ms. Renu, over to you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Renuka Hiremath. His Highness, I feel blessed to have this opportunity to introduce a cultural and youth icon like you. These words will not be sufficient to introduce you, but I will make an honest effort. His Highness Yaduveer Krishnadatta Chamaraja Wadiyar is the 27th and current custodian of the Royal House of Mysore. Sir received his degree in Bachelor of Arts with a double major in Economics and English. As scion of the Royal House of Mysore, he continues to uphold the rich tradition and culture of the Wadiyars of Mysore, thereby continuing to preserve the culture of the Deccan over their 600-year presence. Additionally, Sir continues to align himself to the causes of sustainable environment and betterment of education, motivated by the great work and contribution of his ancestors. His Highness is President of Sri Jaya Chamarajendra Arsu Education Trust, Ambassador and Advisory Board Member at Kalisu Foundation, and Trustee of Sri Jaya Chamarajendra Art Gallery, Mysore. Apart from the tradition itself, the immense contribution by his ancestors for the betterment of society through the means of education, social reform, economic advancement, keen patronizing of the arts and sports influences him to align himself with these causes. Furthermore, he is of the definite opinion that the ancient bond between the people of Karnataka and the Wadiyars should continue through the means of the persona of the custodian being socially aware and available. Being extremely interested in sustainability and as an environmentally conscious person, he gives importance and priority to the causes that benefit and create awareness about saving our environment. He is an active participant in the Swachh Bharat campaign by the central government. He was the ambassador for the Swachh Bharat campaign in Mysore during the 2 years that Mysore won the designation as the cleanest city in India. He served as the ambassador to the Kalisu Foundation that strives to provide better means of education within the old Mysore region. Currently, the foundation has an impact on over 5,800 students. Also, in collaboration with the Kalisu Foundation, Shri Y.K.C. Wadiyar takes part in the Learn from Maharaja program in various schools in and around the greater Mysore area. His Highness is known for his simplicity and the concern he has towards society. Sir, you are a living legend and an inspiration to today's youth. It's a blessing to have you with us. Thank you for gracing Mysore Global Forum with your charismatic persona. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Renuka, for your impressive introduction about His Highness Yaduveer Krishnadatta Chamaraja Wadiyar. Thank you. And sir, now I request you to address our panel discussion.
Very good evening to everybody present today. Dr. Prakash Khandge, founder and head of Lok Kala Art Academy. Professor Ann Ping, Director, Music Academy, Central Conservatory of Music. Dr.Bharati Hiremath and Ms. Renuka Hiremath. Dr.Yatendra Dutt, Amoli, Yoga and Kashmir Shaivism. And Dr.Binod Singh, Director of BRICS Institute, India. As well as all of the members from the University of Mysore, as well as the organizers of the Mysore Global Forum. It's indeed my pleasure to be here today to talk about India's cultural diplomacy in today's digital world, the lesson and challenges. Be here for this session today. As you have pointed out in your very elaborate introduction, it's I think an honor for us here in Mysore to host what is, of course, you are doing this on the eve of Yoga Day. And I quickly just like to point out that small history before going forward, because it does pertain to what is India's cultural soft power going forward. And I always, every time we celebrate Yoga Day, always point to one individual during the state times, Sri T. Krishnamacharya, who happened to be teaching yoga at the Banaras Hindu University when His Highness Krishnadatta IV, commonly known as Nalodi Krishnadatta, was the Chancellor of the Banaras Hindu University. And that meeting there resulted in Sri T. Krishnamacharya coming down to Mysore. And just here at our Maharaja Sanskrit College, he started teaching yoga in its entirety, not just asana, but also dhyana and pranayama as well. So the entirety of yoga and its use towards building, the other section of society, not just economically, but also that you are culturally and physically as well as mentally, an advanced society. Utilizing yoga to that effect was started because of Sri T. Krishnamacharya. And I believe every Mysorean will know his students, Patabi Joyce, whose Ashtanga Yoga is now famous world over, and Mr. B.K.S. Iyengar, who set up shop in Pune, is also world over famous for pushing that same proponent of yoga that Sri T. Krishnamacharya taught world over. In fact, the idea of Surya Namaskar itself and Vinyasa itself came from Sri T. Krishnamacharya, because up to that point, asana itself was just static. The idea that it can be dynamic was seen by him, because right behind the Sanskrit College was the where the akhada was, where our Mysore wrestlers were. And they used to practice the dands, which were more dynamic. And this idea of Surya Namaskar came from that, because he adapted those dands into the dynamic flow that became the Surya Namaskar. So his contribution to modern yoga is immense, Sri T. Krishnadatta, and I think on the eve of Yoga Day, I'd just like to, since you are doing it, remember him going forward. Extremely, again, happy to be here to talk about India's cultural diplomacy. My time over the last 5 years since I accepted this responsibility has always been towards strengthening this culture and understanding how it helps towards building a unity within our society here in Mysore. And those of us from Mysore will witness it every year at Dasra. The entire city comes together in celebration, and it's something the entire city looks forward to. That essentially building of community, and then at a large, this identity for the entire country is what culture brings. From the very inception from our earliest documentation, if you see in the Vedas itself, this idea of culture is what has held us together from day one. When Bharata himself overcame the 12 tribes and established what became the Sindhu or Bharat, as he said, he continued to accommodate all of the teachings of the other gurus, not just his own Rajguru Vasishtha, but Vishwamitra and all of the others within the Vedas. And all of it was documented. So this idea of being a cultural sponge started from the very inception or the earliest documentation we can find. And then going forward, of course, we know our civilizational values, which were started from there, continue to adapt with the new dharmic religions of Buddhism and Jainism. We very much set up, the Sanatana Dharma itself absorbed so much from Buddhism in its monastic order in setting up mutts. And then from Jainism, prior to which we didn't have so many temples, we started the idea of temple making, and the institution of a temple was essentially built from there. So all of these ideas adapting. And then, of course, in our history, we have the time of Islam coming, and I can speak to our fact itself in our Dasra celebrations during Darbar. Many of the honors that are given are read out in Persian itself. So you have this tradition of Darbar, which is from the Islamic, the gunpowder states that came down and the Deccan Sultanate before them. And then also this, the Persian that comes in there. So continuing this cultural sponge that came forward. And then, of course, we need not talk about the Orientalist phase. Our entire system, administration, and everything that is today is built around from that phase and that era. So we continue to absorb all that is good, and being this cultural sponge that we are throughout our history, continue to adapt, allow, and be fluid in that motion of culture. And this to this day, when we talk about soft power and modern concepts of globalization and moving and having this identity of Bharat and Bharatiya identity, I think it stems from this idea that we continue to be a cultural sponge, absorbing all that is good across the world, and then teaching the rest of the world how to do that moving forward. And I think that's one of the greatest values that is epitomized. Of course, it's within the Constitution of India itself, and which earmarks all of these civilizational values within a piece of paper or a document by which we can all now formalize our nation state of India going forward. And that's the great thing that we have in this country, and something that an ideal we must all always strengthen and move forward. Of course, modern day soft power, the most common term is yoga, and I've spoken about that elaborately before. That has been a cultural standpoint. It is one of the foremost schools of Sanatana Dharma as well, out of the 5 or 6 schools that we have. And it is a means by which, it has nothing to do with, largely with, sort of spiritual concepts to do with reality, and something that India can utilize moving forward to better strengthen our global ties and have an understanding of our cultural ethos and build towards a greater global community. So it is truly a pleasure to be here again. UOM and the Palace have a great connection right from its inception, of course, during the state times, and we continue to enjoy being a part of all your activities. And I'm very glad that such sessions are taking part, and we are most happy to encourage and be a part of it going forward as well. I also send my congratulations to everyone on this panel. I look forward to all of the expert opinions going forward, and I'm most happy to be here with all of you today. Thank you all once again for having me. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Highness, for your inspiring and the motivating words about our panel discussion. panel discussion is meant to carry out our Mysore culture to the world. And I hope we will come out with fruitful discussions. So now I request, we also have Prakash Khandge to represent how folk and drama is representing India, and it is helping to carry out the Indian culture to the world. Now I request Dr. Binod, our co-organizer, to introduce our panelists, Dr. Prakash Khandge and Yan Ping and Yatendra Datta. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Bharati. On behalf of the BRICS Institute India, it's a great honor and it's a very special day for all of us, especially the youth of India, to thank and express our gratitude to the scion of the Wadiyar kingdom, Prince H.H.Yaduveer sir. Sir, as my colleague introduced you, you are true to every word. In fact, beyond that, you are the hidden gem, which we came to know only today. Sorry for that. We are not... we are forgetting our own culture. The kind of history sir has elaborated about yoga and contribution of Mysore to the development of yoga in this current form is something a lot of my colleagues and my friends and students, they may not be knowing it. So it's a great opening remark and keynote speech from our king today, and we don't have enough words to thank him. So sir, I think for all of us here, you are just like Satchid Anand. You yourself is embodiment of all the great things and the great culture India represents from the ancient time till today. And so we are truly confident that as long as we have this tradition of your family and your dynasty and your culture, India will always remain a cultural great power where it will send the message of peace, harmony, love, music, dance, and as you said, we will not forget to do our karma. As after all, sir, you are a karma yogi. On a very short notice, you agreed to give us this time. That too on the eve of Prime Minister of India is visiting you, which is a great challenge for the city to arrange everything. And again, sir, on behalf of BRICS Institute, we are very lucky to have you because after work week, we have a international summit in Beijing hosted by China. So we also decided to include some of the Chinese scholars who have been working on India and understanding Indian culture, including yoga, music, dance, and taking it to all of the world. So there's an opening line by one of the Chinese ambassadors, the first ambassador to United States of America. His name was Hu She. He said that India colonized China for more than 1,000 of years without sending a single soldier. What he referred to is that the Indian culture has gone across the seas, across the continents, without any force, without any military or any invasion. And what today Yaduveer sir has explained us, his knowledge, his contribution, his foundation is doing something which every youth in India would like to follow and would like to join it. So we are thankful to University of Mysore for arranging this conference together and getting the prince here on the platform. We don't have enough words to thank him. Now I move on to, as a moderator of this session, I move on to introduce our first speaker today. He is none other than Professor Prakash Khandge. He is a Marathian, he is an Indian, and he is a global citizen. What he has done, he has brought the folk culture, which all of us try to neglect. We just happen to know about, yoga and 8 classical dances of India and 2 classical musicals of India. But when I met Professor Khandge in 2010 in Beijing Forum, he was the only soul representing India's folk culture. And the whole audience in Beijing Forum was mesmerized. And then after that, he came to China for various times. He traveled to United States and different parts of the world. And he really introduced what is called folk culture and how we are neglecting folk culture of India. So especially for Marathi folk culture and the way in the Vidyapit, the Mumbai Vidyapit, he has established this new department and he has carried this tradition. It's a lesson for many other universities and departments to follow. What we can do at university level, what we can do at global level. So without further ado, I would like to give the platform to our first speaker today, Professor Prakash. who is really a custodian of our folk culture. He has been well recognized by the government of India, by local academy, by Sangeet Academy. And at this age, he is so active that, we must learn from his activism. He's always traveling. We are very lucky that we could get him today. He is also a friend of Professor An Ping, who is right now very busy, but he managed to spend some time today. So after Prakash Khandge, I would like to invite Professor An Ping and Professor Yatendra Amoli. Professor Yatendra Amoli, who is there, whom I met in China, teaching Indian yoga philosophy and doing a very competitive work with the Chinese monks, Chinese Taoists, and Chinese philosopher. That kind of picture I had imagined long back when Chamaraja had gone to China to translate the Buddhist scriptures. So that kind of tradition is coming back somehow with the help of technology. So in this digital world, I think still we have a platform to share our knowledge. So without further ado, allow me to invite Professor Prakash to share how did he manage to put Marathi pride and Marathi folk culture on the global map. Sir, the platform is yours. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I am very thankful to Dr. Binod and all the panelists and even the madam and University of Mysore and the Prince of Mysore and everybody on the panel. See, as far as yoga is concerned and the Indian cultural ethos and yoga, when we talk about the yoga, let me tell you, yoga in Maharashtra, there is high respect for yoga in all the saint literature of Maharashtra. Not only in Maharashtra, but all over the India. If you find the devotional literature or spiritual literature, there is a high regards for yoga at one side, but at the another side, when we talk about the common man, when we talk about the layman, when we talk about the Saguna Bhakti of all the saints of India, that time saints used to say, Yoga Yaga Vidhi, Ene Nohe Siddhi, Vayachi Upadhi, Dhamma Dharma. Means they used to say that yoga is not everything, and if you have to go to that Almighty, the yoga will not be the root for that, but what will be the root for that is only Nama Sankirtan. That is the narrative devotion. That is what all these saints have preached all over the India. That does not mean that we are going to undermine the importance of yoga, but yoga at one stage, it's a Vedic genre. And when we talk about the India, India has got two major genres as far as culture and religion is concerned. And those genres are one Dravidian genre and one Aryan genre. So when we talk about the Aryan genre and all the Vedas, that is Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, Sam Veda, all these Vedas, then Upanishad, then Smriti, all these particular even the epics, they all are from the Aryan genre. And when we talk about the all the folk deities, local deities, and even the saints, devotional saints of India, they are from the initially they are from the folk genre, and they are from the Dravidian genre and not from the Aryan genre. So this is the basic difference when we encompass the yoga with the spirituality of India. When we talk about the spirituality of India, again there are two parts. One part believe that the spirituality is always with the metaphysical genre. And all those Kshetrapala Devatas, all that we call the folk deities, or the local deities or the village deities, all those have got the separate sect, and that sect is known as Lokadaiva Samskruti. When as you have said, Dr. Binod, how you come across to that, because I basically am from Vaishnava tradition. I am Varkari. Varkari or Vaishnav tradition or Bhagavad Sampradaya is very much popular in Maharashtra, and my forefathers, even my father and my grandfather, they all are kirtankars. They all are devotional narrators of Bhagavad Sampradaya. And due to that, I have got a beautiful blending of folk and even devotional cult. Folk culture and devotional culture, they are separate from each other, but they're, though they are separate from each other, both have got the mass appeal. That is very important. Why folk culture has got mass appeal? Even the devotional culture has got mass appeal. There are these saints like Purandar Das, then Tulsi Das, then Surdas, Mirabai, Kabir, Nanak, Namdev, Jnaneshwar, Tukaram, Eknath, all over the India, from 9th century onwards, there is a period of religious renaissance. And that religious renaissance, it is attached to our cultural ethos. What is the cultural ethos of India? When we talk about the culture, as we have coined the concept called India's cultural diplomacy in a digital world, lessons and challenges. Now I will tell you, either we can take these 3-4 terms, fallacious one, or we can take all these terms internally complementary to each other. How that happened? When we talk about the culture, culture cannot be defined materialistic on materialistic way, because culture has a bondage, strong bondage with our emotional ethos and not with the material prosperity. So when we talk about the culture, culture is always with our emotions, with our spiritual mind. And when we talk about the diplomacy, now diplomacy, whether can we coupled it with culture? Because what is the meaning of diplomacy? Diplomacy is motivated. It is with some motive. It is a strategic one, and that strategic approach towards the diplomacy, whether it can be coupled with culture. So that is also there. And the third one is digital world. We are talking about the digital world, and culture is it's a powerful bondage between man to man. In Maharashtra, we call it "Tujhe jeevi che, माझिये jeevi pado," means heart to heart contact. That is called the culture. What is culture? What is religion? Religion and culture enhance our human ethos. And again, we are talking about the lessons and challenges. According to me, the lessons are whether we can have the parallel pattern all over the world as far as culture is concerned, and which can be the those patterns. Those patterns can be universal brotherhood, peace, harmony. All those things can be coupled with the lessons. These are the lessons. Now, when we talk about the culture, when we talk about the China, Buddhism is a powerful bondage between India and China. Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, that is the principle, and Panchashil Tattva, that is the bondage between India and China. It reflects our culture. Now, culture, when we talk about, there are two cultures. One is elite culture, second one is non-elite culture. Elite culture means the culture which is being discussed with the on the platform of affluent class, and the non-elite culture, it is a folk genre. It is being looked down upon till today, not only in India, but all over the world. We neglect the folk genre just because it has got the, it is so popular. The elite people used to afraid of it. That's why they look down upon the folk genre. When we talk about the culture, this folk culture and the elite culture, that is the devotional one at the latter stage, can be coupled together. And when we talk about the cultural diplomacy should go hand to hand with civilization, but that civilization should not have only the materialistic approach. That is my point. It should not go with the materialistic approach. It's a spirituality is a core. It's a soul of culture, and that spirituality we find in all human ethos all over the world. Despite of all the struggles, all the warfares, everything, if you go everywhere, you will find in Maharashtra there is Saint Ganeshwar. He used to say a Pasaidan, it's a world prayer. In his prayer he says, Ata Vishwatmake Deve, Ene Vagyadne Toshave, Toshoni Mazajave, Pasayadan, Duritanche Timira Jao, Vishwa Swadharma Surya Paho, Duritanche Timira Jao. That means let the darkness go, and there should be a light everywhere, and that light of universal brotherhood, that light of peace, that light of harmony, that light of sagacity, and it should be everywhere, all over the world. This is the prayer which has been given by Saint Ganeshwar. So my saying is, my trust is, when we talk about the Indian culture and cultural diplomacy is a superpower. Why? Because it has got the diversity. Diversity is the strength of Indian culture or Indian cultural diplomacy, and it's also weakness of Indian cultural diplomacy. Diversity is at one point, it's a strength of Indian cultural diplomacy, and it also have the weakness or the weak point of Indian cultural diplomacy. Why? Because if you have got the common thoughts, if you have got the common principles, if you have got the religion which you leads to humanity, then there would have been never such problems of caste, creed, and even the worldwide problem, warfare. So what I am saying, and the challenges before us, and those challenges are how to cope up with the digital world when culture demands man-to-man contact.
Okay, sir.
Dr. Binod is coming to University of Mumbai along with the Chinese delegation. They dance, they enjoy, they mingle with the artists of Maharashtra, and they just learn the steps of folk dances of Maharashtra, and we learn the steps of folk dances of China or folk music of China. This is called the Adan Pradan or give and take policy. So this policy will only be possible when we have man-to-man contact, when we mingle with each other. And that mingling is not, it should not, it can't be digital one. Mingling can't be digital one. You see, motherhood or brotherhood cannot be judged online. Brotherhood or motherhood, if you would like to judge, you will have to fundle on your back by your mother, and that is called the motherhood. So, in digital world, what is the threat? And the main threat is, as Richard Dawson, one of the great international folklorist, he elaborate, he coined the concept called culture at marketplace. Culture cannot be placed at marketplace because culture is with our emotions, culture is with our morals, culture is with our ethos, culture is with our religious beliefs. Maybe those beliefs are uh, uh, superstitious or actual beliefs, but it should go hand to hand. And in this digital world, it is our duty that we should have, uh, uh, we should accept the challenge of this digital world, and still we can have the bondage, either man-to-man contact, though on the digital world, or what can be the criteria? I'm a person, I'm 65 years old. I don't understand the universal approach toward the culture when I am sitting at one place and you are sitting at other place. So this type of new concept has to be evolved, and the challenges are you will have to accept the digital world, but that digital world, you have got the digital world, but in this digital world, you should have the pure art and culture to be witnessed and to be focused. If you don't do that, if suppose any Chinese folk songs which peasants are singing there, without taking them, if you take the delegation of some urban-based uh, Chinese folk singer to India, we will think that yes, this is the original one Chinese folk song. If I will do that, you will say yes, Prakash sir has uh, uh, presented this form. That means it's a pure one. But still, you will have to have excavate the culture, and that is the challenge before us. I will sum up with this, and as I had been 4 or 5 times to China, and
Yes.
even I remember in 2008 there was a Beijing forum, and the subject was transcendence of art and development of civilization. When we
Right,
talk
sir.
about the culture and the Indian cultural diplomacy, we should not take diplomacy. We should not take only at the superficial level, but it should be heart-to-heart diplomacy. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Professor Prakash. I think today you already, challenged our topic itself by doing an autopsy. Next time when I choose my topic, I have to be more careful, and also I should give you a call on phone. because I understand that your holistic approach to culture is little different than we young people think. For example, in the very beginning, you raised a question. The question was that is yoga is practiced by the elite class, the rich class, or I mean, this is not something done by the masses. If I got you right, did you raise this question, right, sir? Professor
Hello?
Prakash. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can't hear you. What is that?
I said in the very beginning, you raised the question of yoga not being a mass culture, not being a part of mass culture, but generally practiced by elite class, something like that?
No. I am not talking. I am talking that yoga is from the Aryan genre. That is what I told. I don't want to say that we called Krishna as a Yogeshwar Krishna. Why we
Yes, sir.
called Krishna as a Yogeshwar Krishna? Because yoga is highly respected in Indian culture, even with all gods and goddesses. I am not talking about that. What I am talking about, yoga, saints has said, simply yoga will not take you to God.
Okay, sir. If I take your point, what about the Bhakti Yoga? What about the Bhakti Yoga you have developed now? Even the Krishna, the Hare Krishna movement, or the Bhakti Yoga is another type of yoga which takes you to the God and becomes, union of the God and the human being.
I will tell you one thing. There are these sayings like yoga chitta vritti nirodha. What is a yoga? Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. जो अपने चित्त वृत्ति होती है, बोलेगा तो अपना माइंड सेट होता है, वो माइंड सेट और पूरी बॉडी कंट्रोल करने का सामर्थ्य योगा में है. दूसरी एक बात कहते हैं कि योगा कर्मसु कौशल्यम, कर्म के कौशल्य को योगा कहते हैं. और तीसरी बात, भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने क्या कहा है, कर्मण्येवाधिकार रस्ते मां फलेषु कदाचन. तो ये सब जो है वो योगा की बड़ी फिलॉसफी इंडियन कल्चर ने स्वीकार ली है. मैं ऐसा नहीं मानता कि योगा कुछ नहीं है. मैं ऐसा मानता हूं, संत कहते हैं कि योगा ही कुछ नहीं, योगा के साथ अगर आपको आगे जाना है तो संकीर्तन होना जरूरी है.
Yes, sir, but this is the problem. When yoga has gone to the Western, to America and Europe, what they're doing is they're taking the physical part out of it, and they're just making it more material than spiritual. That is the main question, we can ask other panelists. We have another professor of yoga, Professor Yatendra Amoli. Can you hear me, sir? Professor Yatendra. Mr. Amoli, can you hear me? Acharya.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, I can't see you in the video, sir.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
Sir, I tried my best as a student of political science and IR to talk to Professor Prakash, but you help me, please. First of all, I thank Professor Prakash for his very energetic, enlightening speech on what is India's culture, how it cannot be given, it cannot be transmitted digitally. That's what he made a point. And if it is done, it's more materialistic. And he raised many other issues which we would like to discuss in the question and answer session. But Professor Yatendra Amoli, it's a humble request to you. If you can address some of his points in your speech now, it will be a great favor to Mysore Global Forum, sir. The stage is yours.
Actually, I'm not agreeing with Professor Prakash. He's just like a master in front of me in his field, especially. But you know that when we are talking about yoga, so sometimes we are taking yoga in a very limited sense, to which we are knowing in the form of certain set of practices like Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga. Even we are understanding from that point of view, but that is very limited sense about yoga. So yoga can be understood in the form of lifestyle first. First, we can understand it just in the form of lifestyle. So that's why, you know, that whenever we are talking about yoga in Indian culture, especially in Indian wisdom or Indian thoughts. So we are saying that this is the central idea of entire practical approaches in our Indian thoughts. Means whatever the thoughts you are taking from India, means you are talking about Sankhya, you are talking about Vedanta, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Vedanta, means any approach, any philosophical approach, any practical approach you are talking about, the central idea of each and every practical approach or thoughts is called as yoga. So that's why nowadays we are searching yoga in Nyaya system, yoga in Vaisheshika system. We are also investigating yoga in Vedanta. So yoga in Buddhism, yoga in Jainism, yoga in Tantra. So that's why we have very limited sense about yoga. So that's why sometimes we are getting confused that whether yoga is just about certain set of practices or just talking about yoga chitta vritti nirodha, just seizing the fluctuations of mind. That is just for a limited sense when we are talking about a particular approach of yoga.
Right, sir. Prakash, sir, would you like to come in or we continue?
Yeah. Well, just one line. I agreed with sir. Yoga. We are talking. We are talking yoga only about the our physical or the body movement. But yoga, as he said, is not only that is the only to control our mind or to control our body. Not that way. Yoga means, as he said, karma yoga, jnana yoga. These are all the yogas, bhakti yoga. So saint has they never look down upon the yoga. What they have said that you will have to have karma yoga, you will have to have jnana yoga, you will have to have bhakti yoga. But karma yoga and jnana yoga, above these two yogas, there is a above all bhakti yoga, and bhakti yoga is with sankirtana bhakti, as it is mentioned satatan kirtayantoma yatanta shadrudavrata. It is being mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, like it's a in ninth bhakti, Navavidha bhakti.
Screen sharing stuff.
Yes, sir.
In Navavidha bhakti, there is a second bhakti called bhakti yoga. So this is very important. I agree with sir.
Thank you, Professor Prakash. I think as many states in India, as we cross different states in India, Kannada, Kerala, Maharashtra, I think we'll find not only 8 forms of yoga, you'll find different forms of yoga. But yet we have not recognized. I think I will request Professor Yatendra to finish his speech, complete his speech, so that we can move on within the time period we have. Professor Yatendra, would you like to continue?
Yeah. So actually, first I would like to send my greetings to the organizers of this conference. And this is very wonderful platform that we are having here. And first time I'm going to talk about a little bit different from my field, because usually I'm always discussing about yoga philosophy, yoga practices. But here I find that something about cultural diplomacy, a very different idea. And you know that here, that's why I would like to thanks to the organizers. Those are wonderfully setting this platform. Dr.Binod, especially His Highness, who presided the session in the beginning. And he also put some emphasis on the historical evolution of yoga from the Mysore Palace. That was Krishnamacharya, the T. Krishnamacharya, who helped yoga practices, and he spreaded yoga practices all over the world. And he was supposed to be the father of modern yoga. Anyway, I'm going to discuss about the main topic here. I have very limited time, as already mentioned by Dr. Binod. So that's why I will not go very much in deep So actually, I'm going to share here about some of my experiences in China when I was in China, and I interacted with many scholars, many practitioners, many monks there, Taoist monks there, and in relation to yogic practices, whenever I communicated with them. So that's why the theme of today's session, the cultural diplomacy. So I'm taking all those experiences to this idea that how the cultural diplomacy is working there and how the soft power yoga is interacting with the Taoism there. You know that in very brief, I would like to say that, you know, when the Buddhism was evolving in India at the same time in 4th or 5th century BC, Taoism was also evolving. Taoism was also developing in China. But Taoism was not even developed in China in the form of religion. It was near about 6th or near about 2nd or 1st century BC when it was having some religious ideas there in Taoism. Later on, we see that some Buddhist inclination was also there. Some migration of Buddhist ideas, migration of Buddhist practices were also there from India to China. And in that time, it was a kind of conflict in between the Buddhism and the Taoism when Buddhism migrated from India to China. So that's why this
we can't hear you.
Separation in between the Buddhism and the Taoism. So we cannot make a very we cannot make a very clear distinction in between the Buddhism and Taoism nowadays whenever we are trying to make a separation about the ideas, about the thoughts, about the practices. So sometimes we cannot make a clear distinction in between the Buddhist practices and Taoist practices because everything is just like an amalgamation there. But you know that when the yoga interacted with Taoist practices there, I found that many of the scholars, they are interested to know more about yoga because they find some similarities in yogic practices. They find some similar ideas in yogic thoughts. It was not like that when we are teaching yoga there, we are just only emphasizing only asanas, pranayamas, or meditation. Even when we are interacting more with the Chinese scholars, especially those are practicing Taoism, practicing Tai Chi, so I saw that they have a very close feeling that something is very similar in between the yogic practices and Taoist practices. So there are several similarities, like when they are talking about the pranic movement in the body. So the idea is almost same. When we are talking about the pranic movement in our body, it's almost same. It's almost similar to the Taoist practices. At the same time, there channelization in the body, the pranic energy channelization in the body is almost same. There is no difference in between the channelization of prana in the body as described in our yogic text, and the same thing we can see there. Especially when we are talking about Tao Te Ching, there is a text which is talking about the fundamental ideas about Taoism. So same ideas we can find also in our ancient yogic text. The ideas which are given in Tao Te Ching in a very aphoristic style, in a very brief statements, something is given there, some fundamental ideas are given there. So the same fundamental ideas we also can see in our ancient yogic text. At the same time, you know that they are now understanding yoga in much more better way because it is their way of dealing with the things, because the political leaders, the professors there, they are more emphasizing on Chinese characteristics. And they are emphasizing that everything we have to see from the Chinese characteristics point of view. Chinese eyes should be there whenever we are accepting something, whenever we are understanding something. So Chinese eyes must be there. Chinese characteristics must be there. In the same way, when they are accepting yoga, we are lacking that sometimes we are not better translating yoga to them. We are lacking something there, that whenever we are talking about yoga, so we are only emphasizing the part which is the practical part and which is very superficial part of yoga, to which we are elaborating there, disseminating there. We are not talking about the part which can be better communicated with their own culture, with their Chinese characteristics. And in this way, you know, that culturally we can make ourselves close to them. We can make very closeness in between the Chinese culture and the in the yogic culture of India. So that's why this is needed. This is and mostly the yoga teachers there, I met them in Indian yoga teachers there. They were just focusing on the part which most of the people like there, means just asanas, pranayamas, or some kind of meditation practices they were talking about. But at the same time, we people have a responsibility that when we are talking to the Chinese people, even we are talking to the people in South Africa, in Europe, in America, our missions, Indian missions are there. And in each and every Indian mission, we have yoga teachers there. We have the culture teachers there. So whenever they are trying to communicate the yoga to them, so they are trying to communicate from their characteristic point of view. What characteristics they are having there in Europe, in America, in South Africa. So in this way, we can better translate the version of yoga to them. And in this way, we can see the vastness of yoga, the vastness of yogic practices and culture. And this would be the great opportunity for us to interact with the Chinese. Yeah.
Professor Amoli, your experience in China is very amazing, but can you just share 2 points, like how do you manage to know all these things of Taoism without learning their Chinese language, first thing? And second thing, I realized if I combine Buddhism and yoga together, I integrate it. It looks like, if I combine yoga and Buddhism, it looks like Taoism.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you that whenever we are actually the idea of yoga in Buddhism is somehow, means I'm not going to discuss with the researches on that or critical analysis of that, but somehow it is borrowed from the our scriptures, means the traditional Vedic scriptures. The ideas are completely borrowed. Even the development of Buddhism in China, that is completely the Tantric Buddhism, the Tantric culture, which was already nourished, already spreaded all over the India. So same thing was there. So that's why whenever you are seeing something in Buddhism, which is related to yoga, is almost same like in Taoism. You know that whenever I was trying to communicate with the scholars there, it was
Which language? Which language?
Yeah, this was a very big drawback there because I didn't know I don't know language. I mean, Chinese language, I don't know. So all the time I was depending on the people, those better translate my ideas to them and better translate their ideas to me. So sometimes very few scholars to whom I met, they were having very shaky English, means they were having some English ideas in English. And I was trying to search some books in English. Through that, I can understand the better their idea, their establishment, because most of the people in China, they were saying and addressing to me that actually there is no Chinese philosophy, means there is no idea of Chinese philosophy. They were saying that there is an idea of Chinese thoughts. We cannot say philosophy. And you know that when I was comparing the idea of philosophy, actually the idea of philosophy means a systematic thought development. That is, you cannot see in China. That is not the systematic way of giving some thoughts, giving some ideas. That is just randomly talking about something about tea, sometimes about water, sometimes about mountains, sometimes about the nature surrounding, like this.
So just last point, we wanted to know that how India can better, promote its culture in China as per your experience without knowing the language.
You know that without knowing the language is not possible. This is the major problem in China, that sometimes what they are talking, what they are thinking, we cannot understand them without having their language. And even though you know a bit communication with them, but you cannot assess their entire idea. You cannot assess or evaluate their mindset. Sometimes I'm saying to them that don't try to learn yoga or Indian culture. I always speak to the Chinese student that don't try to learn Indian culture or Indian yoga, because you cannot learn. This you cannot learn. You can just have an overview of yogic practices, overview of Indian culture, just for gathering some information to you. You can just gather some information, but you cannot understand, because our ideas, our thoughts, our every practices are written in our language. We get nourished by this language, we get nourished by this land, and that's why so many things are there in our subconscious level. So this cannot be communicated in that way until or unless we are not getting their language, until or unless we are not understanding their culture.
But I was surprised why they like so much of Iyengar yoga. I know to any Chinese when I speak to, they're so fond of Iyengar yoga. Is it very practical and it doesn't have religious kind of ingredients?
I don't think so that when people are talking about Iyengar yoga, means it's just like the media hype, something they made in the beginning in 2011. I think in that time, that was the last time when BKS Iyengar visited in China. And that time people started talking about Iyengar, that this is the last and the first time of BKS Iyengar Guruji. He is in China. So this was just like the people were making this idea very big, that Iyengar is the only one figure to whom we can recognize in the form of yoga. But there are many things, many ideas, traditional ideas in yoga. So we cannot speak, just limitize the idea of Iyengar yoga as the only practical yoga. Because I practice Iyengar yoga, I practice Patabi Joyce, Ashtanga yoga, Vinyasa yoga. I practice many traditions, but I don't. It means I never found that some ideas to whom we can project just like that. This is the only idea which can be said as most practical idea, because we always speak that yogic practices are individualized practices. Means individual to individual, we have to make the changes in the practices. We cannot say the same yogic practices are applicable for everyone.
Okay, Mr. Binod, I wanted to say something to Yatendra sir. Sir Yatendra, you are talking about yoga and all. Thank you for sharing your experience in China. Okay, and my thinking is that yes, of course it is true that yoga, music, and folklore, folk culture is carrying our Indian culture to the world. That is true. And also they are making India as a super soft power. Okay. In this connection, how do you feel? Yes, apart from the language, China, the Indian language, that is different. Apart from the language, what do you think and what do you say about the government, and what Indian government is required to make it strong, to carry yoga to the world? Because in the digital world, social media is taking a greater place. Okay, what you are expecting from Indian government? What will you suggest? Or else what do you say? Indian government is required to improve many more steps or implement many more programs to make India or to make Indian yoga as a stronger and as an easy to approach to everyone, irrespective of languages.
You know that Indian government is doing a lot in spreading yoga from 2014 especially. I'm not politically inclined to any particular party, but you know that from 2014, India government is doing a lot in spreading yoga in each and every part of the world. Because in our missions abroad, means in our embassies, our consulates, our missions in high commissions in various countries, we are sending yoga teachers. Indian government is sending yoga teachers. So those are not yoga teachers. They must have a understanding about Indian culture too. So at the same time, we are saying them Indian culture, yoga come Indian culture teacher. So whenever they are going outside and they are going for a certain period of time, so Indian embassies and missions are trying to make a kind of collaboration of local places, local institution with the Indian embassies there, local in those places, and trying to make a kind of practical approach through that yoga can be better understood, or Indian culture can be better understood to the people there. So in this way, yoga and Indian culture is spreading by the Indian government's efforts. And it is even in China, you can see that in our Beijing, in our embassy, Indian embassy, we have Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center. And in that culture center, we are not only teaching yoga, Indian culture, but music. We are teaching their music. We are teaching their dance. So dance teacher is there, music teacher is there from India, yoga teacher is there, and the cultural cooperations are there with the Beijing University, other universities there in Beijing. So in this way, they are making a better communication to spread the idea of Indian culture to the people living there.
Okay, thank you for your elaborative and insightful your response for our yoga. And I hope in future also with your team, yoga will spread to world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yatendra sir, are you planning to go back to China and continue the research and teaching? What are your future plans? You can share with us.
Actually, I'm planning to go back to China, and my main motive to go back to China is not for earning money, or because some people have this idea all the time that, okay, for earning money, you are going to China or you are going to abroad. But my idea is there that because many works I in the half, partially I started there, I initiated there and left in the mid. So that's why I want to finish my works there, just like I was having some very good cultural communication with the Taoist monk, to whom I want to interact more, to whom I want to learn more and interact more, so that we can make the ideal situation for Indian government to communicate more to the people there. And definitely the language will always remain a barrier for me, because I'm very lazy to learn anything. But I will try to communicate more with the scholars, or with the people there, so that the part of the people, those are really interested to learn something from us. So I'm not going to teach there, but I will try to share something there, so that we can make a better bridge in communication with China, so that something we have to learn from them and something they have to learn from us. It's not all the time we are going to teach them. We must have to learn something from them to make a better communication.
So it's really hard for you to live there without language, and also vegetarian food is not very popular in China. But again, like, there is an Indian community developing there. There's a question in the chat box. Can I read it?
Yeah.
The question is from Mr. Rajkumar. First of all, he's very thankful to Mysore Global Forum for organizing this topic. Now his question is, now the world is digitally and cultural diplomacy is becoming an important dimension of any country's soft power, even for China. So why the Indian impact is not so very clear? It's very poor till now. Despite being one of the oldest civilization and rich in culture, we are not well connected digitally to Chinese or to other countries. On the same stage, China is far ahead, and it's diversified. So what do you say? How is it we have to reorient our culture diplomacy or something?
Yeah, definitely. I'm totally agree with this idea, this question, because that sometimes we are lacking in some approaches. The first thing is that I'm an Indian. All people are here, and at the same time, because I sometimes criticize myself that sometimes Indians are too much egoistic, and they are just feeling themselves. Sometimes they are feeling themselves that they know much more better than anyone. So sometimes this dilemma, this dilemma,
I have this problem too. Sorry.
Yeah, this dilemma is there that that I only can teach you. I only can teach this. I only can spread this. So this is the dilemma that most of the people are having. They never want to learn from others. They never want to listen others, to know others. First, you have to make yourself very clear to know each and every action of others. For that, you have to keep silence within. And when you keep silence within, then you can better learn others. So this is the skills we have to learn. Another thing they are building means the people from China, they are trying to teach in a very soft manner. They are trying to teach their culture to the entire world. They have given tea to every part of the world. They are very well in Taoist practices and teaching it all over the world. But at the same time, when we are making yoga to the other parts of the world, we don't have any standards format of yoga. We never followed this. Means government never followed a standard scheme of yoga to which we are going to teach to the others. Everyone who know yoga, little bit yoga, can teach it.
Just like the way we speak English sometimes. Anybody in India can speak English, right? Yes, Prakash, sir, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add one more thing. As sir said, that the concept of yoga has we taken it as an individual affair.
Yeah.
As yoga, but it should have been taken as collective one, and there should have been a format which has to be attached with culture and philosophy.
Yes.
It should be attached to culture and philosophy and yoga. It should be interwoven so that there will have a better impact all over the world when we talk about the culture as such. Because till today, we have taken yoga as only a, are we taking as only a commodity product? Or we are taking yoga as a core culture of India. That should be there. And as he said, there should have been a set pattern that India will have a world guru of yoga. But it has to be, we should channelize some system.
But sir, in America, I saw maximum gurus were the Pirangis, the white people. They were teaching yoga, not our Indian people. Maximum in New York studios, in New Jersey, and everywhere. As Professor Prakash said, that you cannot separate yoga from its origin, that is Vedic philosophy. So what I'm fearful, sir, is that not even 100 people will qualify to be a yoga teacher because they don't have background in philosophy. And we have to supply more than 200 countries yoga teachers. They are in short supply right now. I think so. Government should promote yoga and philosophy both at the same time. And one of the greatest example for this, to this previous question by Mr. Raj, I just want to add one more point, Yatendra sir.
Yeah.
Because Chinese technology is very powerful. The Chinese microblogs, the Chinese TV channels everywhere. So they are able to put their culture everywhere with the Chinese money and Chinese technology. In India, we don't have our own Facebook, our own Twitter. We are totally reliant. So tomorrow YouTube can delete this video. We cannot help it, So that is something Indian government and IT ministry, we are an IT soft power, but we don't have our own social media channels. This is something we should work on. The only advantage we have is that we can communicate to the world in English language. That is something China is doing now, but it was not able to do earlier. So on this occasion, allow me to invite Professor An Ping, who can talk to the world. He is a professor of world music. He is the dean of World Music Conservatory in Beijing. And the university name is called China Central University of Music. It's the topmost, just like in India, sir, we have Sangeet Kala Academy. Professor An Ping is from China's Sangeet Kala Academy, and he is there for a long time. He has guided more than 100 students on Indian music and culture. I really like them. They were very beautiful also, and they were very talented also. So I was in Peking University, but I used to go to Uncle Professor Ping An University very often. Whenever there's an Indian professor of music coming to China, the Indian embassy will always send him to Professor An Ping College. And very sad to note that Professor Bhajan Sapuri, the famous player of Santoor, Professor Bhajan Sapuri, he had been teaching there in Professor An Ping Institute. So Professor An Ping, without further delay, would you like to share your experience with Indian guru like Birju Maharaj, Pandit Bhajan Sapuri? I mean, you have seen all the legend. You have also met Madhuri Dixit, the biggest dancer. So please, can you tell me why you like Indian music so much? And how do you manage? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for giving me this chance to talking about the Indian music culture. And just before I heard the gurus and the professors, they say many about yoga, but I'm not so good on yoga. So for the understanding of yoga, I'm not do these things. So I think for me it's very difficult, but I'd like talking about the music. So I think something is very very similar with yoga. So maybe it's good to know what is music and yoga. We can discuss about these things. Okay, dear Maharaja Yaduveer, Ambassador Kumar to him, and Dr. Prakash Khandge, and Dr.Binod Singh, and Dr.Bharati, Hiremath, Dr.Yatendra, Dutt, Moni, and H.H.Yaduveer. Long time I have not known to pronunciation Indian names, so for me it's difficult. Maybe it's not correct, but I'd like to know each of you all. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm the Professor Anping from the Central Conservatory of Music of Beijing, China. Now I'm the head of the Department of Musicology and the head of the World Music Teaching and Researching sections. It is my pleasure to meet you all here. The reason why we can meet here is because of Indian culture. We are connected because of the Indian culture. And this is the charm of the Indian culture. The first time I went to the India was the 1986, when I was the student at the Central Conservatory of Music, and with the support of the ICCR China and Indian cultural exchange program. I went to the Indian to study tabla and the Indian classical vocal music at the Sri Wadiyar Galagendra in New Delhi. With light classical vocal, started my world music study at a research journey. 2 years of study in Indian made me fall in love with Indian culture and the arts. So especially in Indian music culture. In 2001, I went to Gandharva Mahalaya in New Delhi, India again. At that time, the principal of that time was the Pandit Madhu Mudga, whose father was the older principal. When I went to the 1986, his father was the principal of that college. So let me show the picture of that thing. You can know more.
Okay, the screen sharing, yeah, you can do it.
Okay. 1 minute. I should have do the
screen sharing.
Share, huh?
Yeah,
sharing.
share.
Okay. Please wait.
Yes.
Can you see this picture?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. When? Yeah.
This in Gandharva Mahalaya in his office, and this is the secretary of his office. That time I was very young, like this. Okay, Now I'm now an ethnomusicologist and a composer. In addition to teaching courses such as world music and Indian music culture, and guiding the research topics for the master and the doctoral students at the Central Conservatory of Music. I have also been responsible for the planning and the organizing of various music, culture, and art festival and the cultural exchange with the world for the long time. Academy events, in particular, a large number of the Indian music and the cultural exchange activities. For example, the 2010, there's a World Music Days. It's special for Indian music weeks. 1 week, all the program are around the Indian music and the talkings and the meetings was held in the Central Conservatory of Music. So we can see there's another pictures. So this is that time. You know, this is the in our Central Conservatory. You can see this one. I will make it big. Who is this one? So who knows this?
Oh, Professor Prakash. Professor Prakash.
So that time, Prakash is there. And this one, do you know?
Oh, the son of Birju Maharaj, Professor Jai
Maharaj.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kathak Das.
So many Indians are here, and this program just is just for Indian music, you know.
Yeah.
Here, world music, 2001. So.
Thank you.
In that time, there's Dr. Prakash Khandge, the College of Music, University of Mumbai was invited. Doctor of the Music Department from the School of the Music, Delhi University, sitar player, and the Professor Anupa Mahajan. So this one is for Mahajan. And another one is Sarit Das. She has gone 2 years, 2020. So it's very sad things for us. He was teaching here for five years. He's teaching more than 400 students. Studying have learned the tabla from him also. And this is the Maharaja, Jai Maharaj. Yeah. In 2015, at the second China's Silk Road International Art Festival held in Xi'an, China, I planned and directed for the music and dance performance of the opening ceremony of Hindu music and dance. At that time, with the help of the Binod Singh and the Guruji Saridadas, so more than 50 artists from Indian, each like classic music, film music, dance music, folk music, and the fusion music and dance teams. And the groups were invited to participate So among this original of the Kadak dance, Pandit Biju Maharaj songs is Jason Kishan Maharaja. His group also comes. So I want to share more thing about this. Just now I have show this picture, and another is this one. I went to the Indians talking about this program with him, and also his son also danced with the do the rehearsal here. We have the scene, and his group dance like this, and finally we have the performance in that ceremony days. So many group together to do the performance, and this is the ending of the performance. It's me here, and I will show you Binod sing. This is also folk music from India. Just before this is the Bangla group. You know this this kind of thing, kind of dance. This is a very famous Indian dance also, folk dance. And who is this one? Too young?
Too young, yes.
This is a Bollywood group. This side.
Bollywood, yeah.
And also in that time, I want to show you this video.
May you sing in?
No voice?
No voice.
Okay. Okay, I just want to show a little bit of this. Let all of you know what we have to do. We have done in China, but this is only the little I have shown. We do many things. I think much of the Indian cultural exchanging, music cultural exchanging be held in our CCOM, you know. So this, so even every year we have the many lectures and the music concerts. But now I just show a little bit. But this is a very famous festival in China.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Today I want to, the topic I want to share with you today is the Indian music culture in world music culture. The Central Conservatory Music is one of the colleges that offer the most world music courses in the world. The main courses of the college are Western music and Chinese music. However, in the past 30 years, we have vigorously opened the music cultural courses on the continents of the world, such as Indian music, dance, and instrumental music courses, Indonesia music and dances, African, Iran, Japanese, Korean, and other music of dance courses. The many research topics of our world music major are mainly long Western and long Chinese countries and the region. Our department has about the 35 master and doctorate graduate even every year. So it has made a great contribution to the exchanging of the music and the culture in the world. In the teaching of world music culture in our college, the proportion of the Indian music culture is the highest. In the past 5 years, we have invited many Indian musicians and teachers to teach Indian music and dance in our college every year, such as tabla, drum play, performance course, and the sitar performance course, Indian Bharati dance course, and also offer Indonesia gamelan performance course and the Indonesia dance course that are deeply influenced by the Indian culture. So my disciple, their subject in the Indian music research is including the improvisation of Indian centers, Bangladesh music, Bharati dance, and Indian film music researches. At the same time, there is also doctorate research on the Indonesia music, dance, drama, Ramayana. So why do we put so much effort into the study Indian music and dance? The first, I think, Indian music is very important in the world music. So first, I think Indian music cultural system is very perfect. First of all, Indian music is very ancient, and the system, raga system, and the tala system have been found very early. They lied to the foundation of the classical music system of North and South India, as well as the structure of the light classical music, folk music, and the film music, and the fusion music. The second, the richness of the Indian music culture, especially on the folk music. Because India is a very vast country with the long and complex history. The settlements of the regions, animals, plants, and the humans vary widely. Different living customs, different social cultures, structures, different ancestors, different beliefs, and different cultures. They live in harmony and tolerate each other. So showing the world a colorful world of Indian music. Certainly, Indian music culture is very unique. The uniqueness of Indian music is manifest in the many ways. The first is the classical music system based on the raga and the tala and the tambura tunes. It is the music system that revives and keeps pace with the Western music and system. It is the basic for the realization of the Indian cultural identity, such as ragas, melodies, singing mode, Tala's rhythm cycle syncing mode and the tambura tuning syncing mode are unique in the world music culture. For example, raga and tala is probably a feminine to the everyone, but I want to talk about the tambura, the continual tunes. Maybe Indians have gotten used to it. However, the vast majority of the people do not understand why in Indian classical music there is always continuous songs. When I first started to listening to Indian classical music, I also felt uncomfortable. It was different from the Western music and Chinese music. However, after I started Indian music, I also got used to it. Slowly, I can't do without this. We can't do the playing without this tambura. Without it, I wanted to play in the Indian music. Until one day, I suddenly become an enlightened and realized it. Tuning the truth, its true meaning, which is calibration. In the Indian philosophy sense, it is to realize the meditative state of the Brahma self and the oneness in the music. We call this moksha. This tempura sustaining songs is like the big universal. I think, I guess, while melody raga is like a small universal, when the melody of raga is complete, consistent with the continuous songs, and meditation experience of the Brahma self and the oneness is the realized. Tala, on the other hand, represent the cycle of life. So when I solved this mystery, I feel that I understand it a lot. I found that a major feature of the Indian music stringed instrument is that they have many resonating strings, almost without expression. All classical music string instruments have many resonating strings, phenomenon that the country do not have. I don't have the usual the Western music and the Chinese music have so many strings. Indian musicians attach great in importance to the tuning. Before the tuning, the program, before and during the performance, even the greatest musician will not hesitate to elaborate the raga's performance to tuning when the strings are not correct. So that's why that is why Indian musicians always use the tambura. Before in early times they used the tamburas. Use the performance, performer to play the tambura. Now they make the saluti box. Now they use the mobile app. So this thing is still on. I think this maybe something is like the yoga, maybe the meditation, something like that in these things. Okay. So firstly, I want to say about the fusion of the Indian music culture. For ancient time to the present, Indian music has been carrying out of the fusion of the combination of the various culture, such as the combination of the early Indian, Dravidian, and the Aryan culture, and the fusion of the Hindu culture and the Islam culture, and the fusion of the Western culture, Persian and the Arabic culture embodied in the music, such as the Hindustani music. Another example is the fusion of Indian culture and the Western culture, which can be seen in music from Indian light music, early film music, contemporary film music, fusion music, Indian fusion music, and the yoga music, and as well as Western classic music, pop music, jazz music, electronic music, fusion, something like that. So this is our what I want to talking about. Maybe I can play a little bit.
Do you have a student to perform? As I know, one of your students would like to play.
Yes. Because we have many students, I want to invite my students. She's doing a doctor degree now. She can play the Indian music like the santur. So maybe we can invite her to showing us something.
Yeah, Mrs. Mimi, namaste. You're welcome to Mysore Global Forum. Now, what do you have prepared for us? We are very excited to listen to that. After theory, we have some practical. Yeah. Thank you, Professor Anping. Thank you so much.
Okay, I because my English is so poor, so I don't.
I think we cannot hear.
You can understand me or not?
We can understand very well, very clear, theoretical. Mimi, can you say something? Hello, can you check your mic? Oh, we can't hear Mimi. No, we can't hear. No.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Mimi from Central Conservatory of Music in Beijing. My PhD paper focused on the improvisation of Indian santur. Actually, my major is Chinese santur, which called Yangqin, and world music. But I also learned Indian santur from Pandit Bhajan Sapoli for 3 years. So he passed away. It's my personal big loss and the big loss for the classical Indian music. His wisdom, his personality, his knowledge, and his big smile always encouraged me. I learned a lot from him. So he will live forever in my heart, and I will continue to practice santur in his way. Actually, I'm the only Chinese person who played together with Pandit Bhajan Sapoli in the stage, and I've got the contribution award for the Indian and Chinese culture exchange from the ambassador of Indian embassy in China, which happened in 2019. It's very fortunate. Actually, not only me, but the students from the Central Conservatory of Music always active in the Indian classical music and dance class. Thousands of students learned a lot from the tabla class, from junior to senior, and sitar class, and the classical dance class. they learn the Indian culture and music from this class, and I believe some of them will be the music messenger between India and China cultural exchange in the future. So I hope I also can do it because the Chinese Yangqin and the Indian Santur, they have similarities, also have differences. So that's what I'm looking forward to explore in the next few years. And today I've noticed that some of teachers from Kashmir, and you know the Indian Santur and both Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma and Pandit Bhajan Sapoli, both from Kashmir. So I'm going to play a short piece of Kashmir folk tune, which I've practiced just this morning. Please enjoy.
Thank you, Mimi. Perfect. Wow.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's perfect. I mean, we want more. Do you want to play more? We don't want to finish it. 安叔，我们不想我们可以继续晚会。We can have a concert, you know.
So, can you play the little bit the song? Then I will sing a little bit. I will show how the this what is song? Why is Indian in Indian music, they keep this continue keep the tuning. This is so when I hear this, we can sing very. We can like do the meditation. I can show the people something like the classical music. You just play, okay? So, okay, when you hear this, you can find when you're my singing with this sa ba, so you can feel like the meditation, something like this. I think the yoga music also like this. I want to show you the Indian a little bit of Indian music video. Can you? We can do this.
Where do you have it, or
I can play a little bit. You later you
YouTube.
know what is tuning. Tuning is very important in Indian music. That is just for the meditation, I think. Okay, I will show you a little bit. Okay, you want to hear? Okay.
Yeah, we have another 5. We have another 5 minutes before we finish.
Okay, 5 minutes. I just a little bit.
Yeah. At the same time, we have a question from 我们一个学生提一个问我乐队一下. There's a question from a student. Alok, what's your question? Should I ask myself? Alok. Alok, would you like to ask your question, please?
Hello.
Yeah, Alok. How was
Yes,
the Chinese?
sir.
How was the Indian music? Yeah, just say in Chinese. Say something in Chinese before you start.
Sir, are you listening?
Yeah, perfect.
Sir, 我叫阿罗可。Sir, 我的中文名字是阿罗可，我是麦索尔大学高级关系系的2年级学生。老师，我有一个问题，我的问题就是Sir, India and China shared academic and culture relationship from long time and exchange of education such as many Chinese monks come Nalanda to learn Sanskrit, yoga and Buddhism, and scholars like Fa Xian and Wen Sang come India to learn Indian culture. Thus, both the countries have shared strong academic and culture bond since ages, but after the outbreak of COVID-19, has this bond weakened?
Okay. Can I translate this question? Professor Anping, you want me to translate?
Your translation, please translation.
这位学生是来自国际关系的，他的提问，安教授，您应该知道，就是中印之间文化交流，就是很长时间就是源远流长。那么几千年有不少中国和尚来印度，印度和尚去中国，他们带去的都是中国、印度的文化、音乐、舞蹈等等交流。但是特别疫情的时候和疫情之后的这个时间里，我们现在是不太乐观中印之间的文化交流是不是断了，还是可以恢复的。他是作为学生比较不太乐观。你可以用英文回答。
我的英文工匠，我想是这样的哈。
秘密翻译，让秘密翻译。
要不咪咪回答吧，你都是学生啊，咪咪，你来回答。
好的。The pandemic is temporary, but the cultural exchange is a long time thing. So we should takes a positive attitude because the Indian culture both have the long history and the culture background. So it's necessary for these two countries to have some music or culture exchange. And the people of two countries are also friendly. So with the scholars and the students exchange between two countries, I believe also the Indian culture, music, especially the music culture, are very very charming for the worldwide people. So we can have the communication between these two countries through music. I think music is the better way.
Perfect. Yeah, we should be positive.
我说两句，他学中文的是吧？
国际关系。
国际关系，其实我是觉得这个就是疫情确实是影响了中印关系的这个就是这种我们的这种沟通哈，但是我觉得今天这个活动就特别好，其实就是一个就只要我们有心我们用心其实中印两个国家的文化都非常古老，而且这种交流史是非常的这个遥远的，就是非常就从最早很早我们就有这种很好的交流。中国文化的很多东西其实都跟印度文化有关系，尤其是整个印度文化对中国文化的对东南亚、东亚的影响都是非常大的我们季羡林先生翻译了2部巨著而且他的研究在我们中国其实现在是大家都是家喻户晓的。所以我想中印关系虽然说近期是一个就是因为疫情它受到一些影响，但是我觉得只要我们共同努力，绝对是能把它做好的因为这两个民族都是非常古老的民族，都是创造了世界文明的这个2大文明的民族，所以这个新的文明、新的文化，只有通过融合。我们刚才讲到了这个印度的文化它其实在不同时期都是用各种文化的融合。尤其今天我下面就想给大家放的这些东西，其实就是想让大家看看，因为我自己也在做了很多这样的印度音乐的融合音乐也是有印度人参加，然后中国人参加，甚至还有就是西班牙人参加。
咪咪，这段您翻译一下，这段您翻译一下，谢谢。
3 points. First, both India and China has a long history, and the Indian culture has influenced many countries worldwide. And second, I forgot.
今天这个讨论会留着希望。
Yeah. No, not that. We should in a fusion way to take the culture exchange. And third, 今天的什么？
I think the developing the culture will be improved, will be the developing will develop. So we must do something. I think today this meeting is a very good thing, very good starting. So maybe we can do more things. So I'm very I hope we can do more things.
Yes,
because many the students like Indian music in our conservatory. Only one class. We have maybe 4 classes in Indian music culture. One is Panadhyanadyam and sitar playing, and also the tabla playing, and also I also teaching the Indian culture for the students. So many students, they learn this. So I think maybe sometimes we can do something with this rooms. Okay, in China we call the WeChat, and the what is it called? 咱们那个叫什么来着？咱们那个网络那个
腾讯会议，腾讯会议 ，Yeah, if you can use, we can touch it with this. So 安叔，我总结一下，可以吗？1分钟，可以吗？
OK，
然后你放，谢谢。 So friends, it has been a great session today. We have the fusion of culture, philosophy, yoga. The only thing is dance we are missing because time was not enough. Otherwise, we could have invited someone to do the lecture on dance also. We'll do this next time. But I always believe that any discussion and forum should not be just focused on, Russia-Ukraine war, problem, differentiate. It should be also focused on culture, philosophy, similarities. Today, what we discussed is what are the great things have happened in the last few millennia between India and China and Southeast Asia and the world. Indian music has played a very important role. It is not a music of just body and mind, it's a music of soul. As Professor Anping narrated, you give me one second.
You speak.
Okay, just there's one video. We watch this video and then we'll conclude. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I will play a little bit.
Yes, this is a music created by Professor Anping, fusion music of Indian music and Chinese music.
Here and yeah, and
还没开始。没有声音。
没声音吗？
没有。
对，还是灰色的画面。
为什么就是没有声音呢？
可能视频不好放吧。
现在可以，但是一打开好像就不行，再试一下。
视频是不好展示的，可能啊，估计。
Okay, forget it. So you can do.
You can share it. You can share the file.
哎，声音有了。Yes.
It's coming.
Good.
又没了。
So you just see the Zakir Hussain. He is doing the tuning in the first. Tabla has the tuning, So this tuning with this flute player, this is the same tuning, because you cannot hear. Okay, forget it. I just want to show you what is tuning. So this is very important to understand Indian music. Before, nobody mentioned these things. Maybe they say that this tuning is no good in the Western people and the Chinese people, they don't like this. But if you want to understand the Indian music, you must know the tuning. So this is very important. But raga is important, tala is important, but this one, nobody pay attention of this. So today I just want to say these things. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, uncle, can you stop your screen? Yeah, thank you.
I will skip. Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So 我两句话总结一下好吗？我们要时间要控制一下。Thank you so much, Professor Anping, for giving us a glimpse of Indian music in China and in the world. And although I don't understand a lot of things you said, but it's very helpful to our mind. And without music, yoga is incomplete. So music and yoga can go together and it can give us real moksha. The word moksha, liberation, whatever translation in English is there. So before we come to end today, I hate to say we come to end. Once again, I take the time to express our gratitude to the Mysore royal family and its 27th sire, His Highness Maharaja Yaduveer. His message and his speech was very encouraging. And this is the longest discussion we are having. And as our topic today was cultural diplomacy in a digital world. So Professor Anping said, despite COVID-19 itching, we cannot meet, but we should have digital meeting like this. We should remember our previous cultural exchanges. And once the world is back to normal, we will revive back. But Professor Prakash very clearly said that nothing can replace man-to-man, face-to-face cultural exchange, which happened between India and China and the world. So we hope that Mysore Global Forum will also organize a very lively physical offline forum where we can invite Professor Anping and his students, Mimi, to come and tell us more about Indian culture, the way he had been teaching his student in Mysore. Mysore is a very royal and historical city, the most best clean city in India, very clean city. And the king of Mysore is very active in promoting culture and education and everything. So without, I think we don't have much time today. I give back to my host, Professor Bharati Hiremath in Mysore. Because of her hard work and her team, we are able to invite Professor Anping, Professor Prakash, Professor Yatendra Amoli. Thank you all for your time. We learned a lot and we want you to come again. Thank you so much, sir. Professor Bharati.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Binod, for giving an opportunity to give a thanks to all of our panelists. And today's session really, it's very fruitful and very effective, and it carried, I hope it will carry our Indian culture to the world. And now it is, I must sincerely grateful to His Highness Yaduveer Krishnadatta Chamaraja Wadiyar for taking some time from his busy schedule to join our discussion. His motivational words and presence has given enough inspiration and support to our department, and also to work more hard and represent our country and heritage worldwide. Thank you for joining us today, sir. And it's difficult to express our gratitude in words. It is truly a blessing from the Heritage Dynasty for us to work hard for betterment of our nation. And also, I must thankful to Professor Prakash Khandge to enlighten us with his folk culture. And also, he truly said that folk culture or any culture of a country can spread man to man. And without having any instrument, without having any media, it is the strongest culture which can carry India to the world. And it is the only culture which is making India as a super soft power. I am most thankful to Professor Prakash Khandge for expressing and sharing his valuable ideas and enlightening us about our folk culture. I must also thankful to Professor Anping to talk about Indian culture, how Indian music is influencing the world. It is very glad to know that the Chinese student of China, and including Professor Sir, they are learning Indian music. And it's very important to say that Indian culture, Indian music is very useful to, and it is also one of the media for getting a meditation. And it is, we all know that it is, music is the one which can release the stress, which will help us to get a peace. And this is how music of a country will bound the relations of a countries. And even more, Indian government and both the government has to work hard to improve and also to strengthen the relation through our culture. And I must also thankful to Yatendra Dutt to talk on yoga, how yoga is making India to carry its culture to other countries. I must thankful to Dr. Binod to giving opportunity and also to become a co-organizer and of our panel discussion. We hope all of our students and they enlightened for today's panel discussion. It is a truly fruitful discussion. I would like to say that Mysore Global Forum also having a future discussion on various issues. I would like to invite you people to our Mysore Global Forum. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, madam. Professor Anping, thank you for your time. It's dinner time and so busy.
Thank you, Vinod.
Yeah. Professor Prakash, thank you so much. Long
Thank
time
you,
no
madam.
see.
Thank
It was
you,
good
madam.
to meet you digitally. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Prakash sir. Please welcome to Mysore. And
Yeah.
yes, sir. Mysore is a very heritage city. please come to Mysore.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
will be
okay.
having
Yeah,
great welcome to you. We would like to offer a welcome to you, sir. Please come to Mysore.
Yeah, there is one
Thank
takeaway
you,
from
thank you,
today's
thank you.
discussion. And Professor Anping, you want to say something? Anping. No. Yeah.
开一下麦克。
So at the last, I want to thank you for all of you. So you are my new friends, many of you. So my new friends, old friends here. So today is a wonderful day. So I hope you're have a nice day, nice dinner, Indian dinner. I miss Indian dinner, you know. Mysore dinner, I don't know what is different with the New Delhi dinner. So if there's no coin, so we want to do the Indian restaurant.
Yeah. Uncle, Mysore dosa 很长的那个 dosa. Very famous.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I love this Indian food very much. Mimi also love this Indian. We usually 1 week or 2 weeks we are going to we have an Indian dinner in Indian restaurant in Beijing. There's a very good restaurant in Beijing also. So thank you all of you, and
Thank you. Thank you so much.
all the best to you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mimi, for the music. Professor Yatendra, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all the teachers and friends.
Thank you.
We'll
Mimi.
meet again.
Thank you,
We'll
Mimi,
meet
for
soon.
joining
Yeah,
us.
we'll meet
Yes.
again. Yeah.
I want to
And
sing
I'm
a little
sorry-
bit of song for you.
Okay.
You know the songs, Mera Juta Hijabani, Yebanu English Dani, Sanabena Tobi Rusi, Pilbi Tilhe Hindustani. Okay.
Thank you so much. It's very much fun.
Beautiful
Yeah.
song.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
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 See you soon. See you soon. Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.